Alright, so we've already put the bike at top dead center, but what you do is you take this little cap off right here, and then there's, if you look right here, there's that straight line index mark that lines up with that little pointer arrow right here, and then right up here, this notch right up here should line up with that line that's right next to the T. And even though it's kind of a bad angle, it does, but it gives you 2 reference points. And then if you look up here, it says in, and then right here on the cam gear itself there's a little line that just lines up with this, and same for the exhaust side. You can probably see this one a little bit better. Yeah, if I go down, you can see how that line lines up right there. That tells us that the engine's in top dead center. You definitely want to put it there before you start disassembling. All right, here we are. We have the camshafts removed, which is easy to do. It just goes like this. These are all the caps. Just make sure the bolt, there are different size bolts as you see, so we just left all the bolts in the holes where they belong. So this is the order. Everything's well labeled. This is the right side if you sit on the bike, left side so you won't put it in back in the wrong spot. You got the camshafts right here removed. The exhaust camshaft has the cam timing tooth thing on it, so you know that that's the exhaust camshaft. And then right here I've got my handy dandy graph that I blew up from the last video, put it on poster board. So we have all the desired specs for all the cylinders, you know, two valves per, 2 valves for the intake, 2 valves for the exhaust. I just got sick of writing intake and exhaust on everything, so you know, it's set up the same way. Intake's on the top, exhaust is on the bottom. These are the actual measurements that I took with the feeler gauge before we removed the camshafts in the last video. Like I said, desired specs, so you just do a little math. Desired specs minus the actual spec, and that equals the shim difference. So that just tells us for cylinder 1, intake valve number 1, which is the left side, we need a shim that is 2 1/1000ths of an inch thinner than whatever shim is in there. We haven't taken the cap off yet, but the shims reside right underneath these little metal cups right here. So I'm going to start removing those, and I'll give you a little demonstration. My demonstration will just be on this one, cylinder 1, valve 1. You don't need to watch me do them all because it's the same. Alright, first of all, I just want to show you this right here. We use zip ties before we even took the cams out. I put a zip tie in between the 2 cam gears right here and zip tied it to the frame. The last thing that you want to do is drop your cam chain down into your motor, and then you have to go fishing. Before we took the cams out though, this is the cam chain tensioner. This is obviously an aftermarket manually adjustable one, so we loosened this, you know, lefty loosey counterclockwise, to take all the tension off the chain to make it easier to get everything out. So we already went ahead and did a run on the first one. This one's already been replaced, so I'll show you the second valve on the intake side. So I'm just going to use a magnet here, or actually I recommend using strong magnets because you don't want to drop the shim down in there. This is just a stack of rare earth magnets. There, just put them on there, just very gently. Make sure you don't drop it. You can see that's your valve shim inside that cup over there. So we're going to come over here, clean it off a little bit, take the magnets off of it, and you just remove your valve shim right there. Alright, so we've removed the shim from the container. This is it right here. They actually do have markings on it, so it tells you what it is. This is a 1.95 millimeter, so that tells you, we just know from the math, if you convert all my thousandths of an inch, what you're going to need is the 1.9, but it's still a good idea to measure them. So we have or we have 76 1/1000ths of an inch, which is 1.95 millimeters. So if we go down one size, stick it in our caliper here, 1.74, so 2/1000ths of an inch thinner. That's what we're looking for here. So right here, that's what we started with shim wise minus that, so we know 74 1/1000ths of an inch, that's what we want. So what I'm going to do is take the new shim, take the cap, come over here. Be very careful not to drop this down in your engine, because then you have to fish it out of your oil pan. So it's just another step. It's not a huge deal, but you do have to get into your oil pan and fish it out. So very carefully. Place it in the little cup down there, you can see. And then you just take this, slide it gently on there, and that's it. That's how you change them.